Hey, everybody. Welcome into the final Raheel Show Podcast of 2020. I hope everyone's doing great. Thank you so much for supporting us the entire year. It's been a crazy year. We're going to recap the entire year with an exercise I love doing, just how memorable things were without using Google, that exercise. So we'll do that in a little bit. We do have our awards that we want to give out, our best movies, our best TV show, best album, songs, listener of the year, a new award that we're starting up here for the podcast. Adjust my mic real quick. Sorry about that. Yeah, we're going to do that, our listener of the year. We've got so many cool things to talk about. Again, it's been a wild year, but we made it through. And again, your support was one of the big reasons. And big reason of that support is because you guys supported Alamo Remedy. AlamoRemedy.com. CBD, I know it's everywhere. You guys see it all over. The health benefits, it's been written about. There's been studies, all that good stuff. I use Alamo Remedy for my CBD needs. One, because it's a Texas company. Two, because their products are lab tested. They're great products. 250 milligrams of CBD per product. And number three, the most important one, the price. They're not price gouging this. $17.99 for their products. They're 4 premium products. You got the lotion, capsules, tincture, and of course the gummies. And you're going to save an extra 10% off because you got the promo code, which is
Unicorn.
Promo code Unicorn, UNICORN, and you will save 10% off. They still have the holiday bundle. So if you are looking for a benefit to your health to start the year, give yourself the holiday bundle. That's the best pricing on all 4 of those products that I mentioned, and you will save 10% on top of that as well. That bundle is $59.99. Get it today, AlamoRemedy.com, promo code
Unicorn.
All right, let's get this going. Jose, we got a lot to do.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of things. So first of all, before we get going, I want to say hi to everybody watching live. What's up, Adrian? So nice to hear from you. And hope you had a wonderful year. I know it's been up and down for him as well, like many people. So it's good to see you, and hopefully things are turning around for you, Adrian. So let's start with this, because there were a bunch of movies that were released to start the Christmas weekend, which, by the way, everything went good for Christmas for you?
Oh, yeah. It was like we were talking about last week. It was going to be pretty quiet, and it was. We watched a couple movies, so it was kind of cool. We watched the Christmas Story for the first time. None of us had ever seen it except one, like my cousin's husband was the only one who had ever seen it. So we all kind of watched it, and it was actually pretty funny. My first time.
Story.
Is it called The Christmas Story? I'm not confusing it with something else, is it?
Are you thinking about Elf?
No. I'm not thinking about the Ramzanali tradition. The Christmas Story. It's a movie that came out in '83, and it's kind of like, I don't even know what the plot is other than the kid wants a specific toy for Christmas. I'm over here trying to give you a spoiler-free warning for a spoiler-free review for a movie that came out in 1983. Kid wants a BB gun for
years, bro.
Kid wants a BB gun for Christmas, and it just goes through his life for that week leading up to Christmas Day, and of course he gets the gun at the end of the movie. But it's actually, the comedy has really held up. Has really funny cutaway scenes. It was really funny. I enjoyed watching it.
Nice. Okay, good. That's awesome. Did you get tamales?
No, we did not get tamales. No.
Oh, did you get the what was it? The Pozzolo?
Pozzole.
Pozzole.
Yeah.
Pozzolo.
We did throw that down.
Nice. There you go. That's good, man. So we also had Wonder Woman release, and Soul also came out. And then a third movie that came out that, trust me, nobody should watch it because it's one of the worst movies I've ever seen that had some anticipation. The new George Clooney movie. I watched that last night.
Oh, that Netflix movie, right?
Yeah. A Midnight Sky. It was so promising. It looked so good. I was like, whoa, this is intriguing. Like, there's a nice space movie out of nowhere. It was like 2 hours of just pointless storytelling. It was so bad.
So like every other space movie.
No, not like every other space movie. I'm not gonna let you talk about Interstellar like that, okay? It was, I don't know how to describe it. It was just like a basic ass movie. That's what it was.
So it's funny. I actually found out about that movie. You said there was a lot of hype for it. I didn't know anything about it until two Saturdays ago. I think I was at work and I got an ad, and I was like, "What the hell is this? Clooney's doing a Netflix movie," and I looked it up, and I looked it up on IMDb and saw it had like a 47 out of 100, and I was like, that was all critic reviews because the movie hadn't came out yet. I was like, "Oof, okay," and they were just absolutely decimating that movie. So it's 2 hours of nothing.
Yeah, it was. Hey, hold on, my mic is acting up for some reason. Something crazy is happening. I can't hear you anymore. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I could hear you the whole time.
I can't hear you. My mic is like the headphones are going in and out where I can't like control how much I can hear. This is so weird. Hold on. Let me do this.
What up, Keith? Good evening to you as well, my friend. Hope you had a lovely evening. Lovely Christmas.
Sorry about that. I think I'm set
You got
now.
me?
Yes, it was like 2 hours of nothing to me. And the payoff was painfully obvious. You're like, "Oh, okay, so that's it. I guess that's the big reveal." I shouldn't have watched it. I know, like I feel I should have watched Soul because the reviews on Soul have been so decent so far. I don't want to say good, but decent so far. Wonder Woman was, oh man, it was rough.
What is Soul on IMDb? I wouldn't say it's like a top. Earlier this year, we did our after Onward came out, we did our favorite Pixar movie rankings, and I don't think Soul really changed mine, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really funny story. It was pretty funny for a movie that actually wasn't that long. I think it's like an hour 35 or an hour 40.
Oh, really? I'll watch it tonight then, because my wife and my daughter watched it. They watched it without me because I was out, so they're like, "Well, we're gonna watch it." I was like, "Okay, that's cool. You guys go ahead and watch it." And I told my wife, I was like, "You're gonna cry because it looks like a really sad movie." And she said it was sad, but it wasn't the usual Pixar sad.
No, I would agree with that. It has an 8.2 for those wondering.
No, what's Wonder Woman? Look up Wonder Woman 84. I want to know if I'm wrong in this because I didn't like it that much. I thought it was a bunch of like cool scenes that they thought were gonna be cool, and they being producers and directors, and they just mismatched it, and it was not good. I want to say it's like in the 20s, right?
5.7.
Ooh,
out of 10.
That's not good. That's not good.
No,
it wasn't a good
all.
movie. It wasn't a good movie. So it's not gonna make our list, I don't think, of best movies of the year. But you watched Soul. What's your review without spoiling?
Without spoiling it, I think it was kind of hard to tell what it was really about, right? Prior to it coming out, I don't feel like, for as big of a machine as Disney is, I don't feel like they did a really good job promoting this movie. And it was kind of just like I was really looking forward to it because it's a movie about jazz. It's obviously a Pixar movie with Jamie Foxx, and Trent Reznor was scoring it. So I was like, oh, this is all really freaking cool, and all kind of sounds up my alley. But they have a very interesting. This isn't any spoilers. He obviously dies. That's the whole premise of it. They have a really interesting way they approach afterlife and pre-life. Was my biggest takeaway from it. I found it really interesting how they told those stories, and it's really touching. The conclusion of the story is really touching. It left me pretty satisfied. It's a little open-ended, but I was really satisfied with how the movie ended. As I mentioned, it's really short, but everyone does a really damn good job with typically how they do all the Pixar movies. It's all really, 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 really well animated, really good voice acting. I really enjoyed it. I mean, I watched it twice. Granted, I watched it twice because my family was talking the whole time when we were watching it the first time, but I really liked the movie, man.
Was it better than Inside Out?
I haven't seen Inside Out.
Okay, you still haven't seen it. I thought that movie was so good, and it made me really sad.
Yeah, I heard that one makes people ugly cry.
Yeah, it's a hard one to watch. It's like it's because you're dealing with emotions and kids,
Yeah.
and it's rough. But okay, so I'm gonna watch it hopefully tonight if I get some time. If not tomorrow for sure. Because
There
I
is my favorite part about the whole movie is they use cutaway scenes a lot, and they're all hysterical. They're all pop
really
culture
okay.
references. There's if you're on Twitter anywhere, you've already probably heard about an NBA one that they make, and Doris Burke actually voices that one, and it's just amazing. They're all hysterical.
Okay, I can't wait. I can't. If Doris Burke is in there, wow. All right, I'm all in then. I'm definitely in with Doris Burke.
It's a
Um,
it's I enjoyed it. I think you'll like it.
all right, cool. I'm gonna watch it soon. Keith has a question for us. Did you guys get lucky on the Kobe Grinch drop? Big fat L for Keith. Keith, you were like
Everyone
probably
else.
99.9% of the people that were trying to get a pair of the Kobe Grinches. It's a classic sneaker because to me that's the first sneaker I think of when I think of Christmas Day games.
Yeah.
It was because back then the Christmas Day games were important, obviously, because of the matchups, right? You had ideal matchups like there's Kobe Shaq, Kobe Wade, all these matchups that you wanted to watch, and it made it so intriguing. To me, the Kobe Grinches turned Christmas Day games into a collectible game, right? Like you had special sneaker drops, jerseys, everything for that one game. It became such a
Yeah.
marquee event. That shoe is synonymous with Christmas Day. It's the bright green Kobe's. For those of you
Yeah, I
that don't
think
know what they are.
I think I think that's the perfect way of putting it. It was the stepping stone for what Christmas Day NBA is. And granted, this year the games weren't all that great, but
Mm-mm.
it it feels like that was a turning point when Nike started doing the holiday releases, and Adidas did too. Then obviously at that time, Adidas had the branded jersey, so Adidas was doing the kind of weird, some years kind of bad, Christmas Day jerseys, and then obviously we've gotten to the point now where I guess they've gone away from the Christmas Day jerseys.
Yep.
Now that I think about it, they didn't last year, obviously this year, but that was a real that's when everything kind of turned around, I think, to where it became an event for everyone to rock their heat, for everyone to debut new shoes, just like the All Star game, bust out new jerseys. It just became another special day for the NBA. And obviously, stuff like those. And I think it was the LeBron 9 that had the red and the Santa colorway.
Yeah,
I think
that's
those
another
came
good
out.
one.
I think those came out the year after. Is Josh in the chat? He can legit check that. But those,
Derrick Rose had a sneakers drop on Christmas Day. I remember that being a really nice Christmas Day drop as well. It was like, what? Derrick Rose is dropping these. So, but it all started because of Kobe. It all started because of the Grinches. It was specifically built just for Christmas Day, right? Because
yeah,
obviously the Grinch, and the way the sneaker looks, it's just an incredible looking thing. And of course, it was hard to get. Like every Kobe's been hard to get this year. If you've listened to this podcast, you've heard us talk about it. Like it sucks because, you know, people are trying to get them to resell them and not just own them
yeah.
because they really want to be part of that Kobe history. Because those again, Kobe's never sold out. They never sold out.
And that's an interesting point you make because and I've showed you like the sources that I have to find all this information. They're all legitimate. Like that's why they're so limited because when Nike released the Chaoses, I think at the end of last year, those didn't sell out. Those didn't do that well. So obviously Nike put the shoes like the Bruce Lee and put the Grinches into production before he passed away. So obviously him passing away changed everything drastically. So of course we all have the right to be upset with sneakers because like for example for me, I had to pay resale for them and I knew this was going to happen. So I bought them ahead of time knowing I was going to take the L. But when I tried
Hmm.
on Sneakers Day of, they loaded sold out for me. I had to close the app, reopen it to try to put in an entry, and by that point, it's already too late. Like, you
It was
already got to take
impossible.
that. Yeah, so it's just kind of like it is what it is with them. Hopefully that changes with releases starting next year. Shoes have been put into production after he passed away. Because we're about to hit a year in January,
Yeah.
in late January since he's passed away. So pretty much every shoe that comes out next year. They're pumping out a bunch of Kobe 6s next year. There should be more pairs of those.
Yeah, hopefully they flood the market. They flood it,
so
and
hopefully
everybody can get one.
Everyone who just like Kanye told us, everyone who wants a pair got a pair. Vanessa Bryant said similar things over the holiday with Kobe's about trying to make sure everyone who wants a pair gets a pair and trying to, once COVID's over, taking care of everyone. I think they'll keep that promise.
I hope so. I really hope so. Okay, so let's get into this. Our end of year celebration, okay? Without using Google. So this is an exercise about how memorable something really was. And obviously this year's been so different. It's been one of the most interesting years in terms of what we've all gone through. It's been one of the most heartbreaking years in terms of what we've all gone through on a personal level, on a community level, on a national level, international level. It's just been heartbreaking. That's the only way to really describe 2020. And I really don't get into like this year sucked, right? No matter what happens, this year sucked. I mean, there's no other way to put it. It just was not a good year for a lot of people, right? I've seen the sentiment of it was a wasted year, and I get that, but I also like, hey, if you are alive to say that it was a wasted year, it wasn't a wasted year because so many people have lost their lives because of what's going on.
Yeah.
And it kind of puts everything into perspective because I find myself going, man, what did I do this year? Like nothing happened this year.
I learned how to air fry, so I don't know what y'all talking about. It was a big win for you. Yeah, I don't know what y'all talking about wasteful.
So you just finally arrived to 2017.
Yeah.
Nice. Good.
I don't know what y'all talking about.
Man, so in 2023, you're going to have a depressing ass year because you're 3 years behind.
What you talking about? I stay sad.
When was an air frying trend that I started?
I think that was 18.
18? It was 18?
I feel like that's when I first heard you talk about it.
Okay.
Maybe late 18, early 19 at the absolute latest.
Okay, that's what it was. So it sucked. But so let's do this, okay? And everyone in the comments without using Google, just recap help us out the biggest moments of the year that we'll remember. I think we can start with the obvious ones, right? COVID-19. It has ravaged the country. It's still going on. It's not slowing down anytime soon because there's just not enough vaccines yet. The herd immunity number keeps getting adjusted. How many people need to have the vaccine or have had COVID-19? So it's not slowing down. The death toll is only going to get higher. So it's not only a story of this year. I think it's a story of next year as well until we get out of this. So that's the main one. Kobe Bryant, of course. We brought
so it
him
was World War III, which Josh just mentioned in the comments.
Mm-hmm.
When we thought we were going to go into World War III, then it was Kobe. Then it was the COVID-19 reaching the U.S. And then after that, it all kind of becomes a big blur for me.
It does, right? What was the World War III? I don't remember that.
Oh, God, I don't know. I don't remember the specifics, but I don't know what branch of the U.S. defense killed a top, a top Al Qaeda leader.
But wasn't that? I thought that was during the pandemic.
Wasn't that before? I could have sworn that was before.
See, this is why I love it. I'd love without using Google.
I'm almost certain that was before.
Okay.
That feels like that was before the pandemic.
Okay, got you. We had the Astros cheating scandal. Yes, I think
that was 2019.
No, but it was announced in January. The official report came out in January.
Oh, you're right.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Because I went back and I had a tweet from that day where I was just, you know how everyone on social media does this to get clout. I had the toughest talk with my 3-year-old about the Astros cheating. So that was one of the things I always made fun of on air with John and Lance and Dell.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, I think I'm going to write one like that and make it sound like legit and see what people say just to see.
And people bit, right?
And people bit hard. And that whole thing started when Myles Garrett hit Mason Rudolph.
Mason Rudolph, yeah.
Mason Rudolph with the helmet. And the next day I came on air and I was like, I woke my daughter up and told her, what if Myles Garrett had killed him? And somebody took the bait so hard. Some lady called in. She's like, this is unbelievable. I can't believe this. Why are you waking up your 3-year-old kid to tell her about an NFL game? And I said, well, because what if he had died? What if? And we were making fun of people all week long about that. The next week, because it happened on a Thursday night.
That.
Oh, dude, everybody was doing it, and I think I was specifically making fun of the Blitz about it because they kept going. But what if he had killed him? That's a big what if. He didn't though. Guys, he didn't kill him. Let's talk about what actually happened. Listen to sports radio now. By the way, it is 99% what ifs. Hey, what if this would have happened? What if this? And I'm like, dude, but it didn't. Can we talk about what actually happened? And then give your opinion on that. Don't do the what if game because it didn't. And if it does happen, then you give your opinion when it happens. But yeah, that's why that whole thing started, and we just kept on just bashing that. The Hopkins trade, yeah, that's another good one.
God, when did that happen?
That happened. I can give you the date.
I was still producing for Charlie because that happened while I was on air with Palillo.
I want to say it was February.
So that was in either late February or early March.
Yeah, it was. I want to say it was February for sure. I forgot what date. Like, I'm usually good with dates on that, but I don't remember this one. Yeah, George Floyd, the murder of George Floyd that put in motion the racial injustice protests that were going across the nations and everything that came with that. The nonsense of politicians just spreading misinformation, whether it be with that or with COVID-19. That's what this year, to me, I'm always going to remember. Like, politicians need to get the hell off of social media. There's no purpose for a politician to be on social media. I still can't think of a reason for them to be on social media. There's literally nothing.
So that was in May, if I remember right, May or June.
It was in June because I was off air by that point.
So yeah, there's a big gap we got to fill between then, because we're at March and that happened in June.
Yeah, March 13th, we all figured out okay, this is or March 11th I think was the actual date, because March 7th was the Roughnecks game. That was a Saturday. The 8th was a Sunday. 9th and 10th was the Jazz game. 11th was when we were the NBA shutting down. 11th and the 12th, I believe, the Thursday and Friday, 13th was the last day that we were in person at the studio. So from there on, from March to April, it was all just a big blur of hey, I'm just going to wake up and hope that things turn out okay, and I'm going to stay at home as much as possible because we have no idea what we're dealing with. We have no idea what's happening in terms of, exactly how dangerous COVID-19 is, how dangerous it can be. People are still figuring stuff out. So for March to April, it was a blur, man. It really was what is happening? Jose, I'm gonna let you in on here. I think you'll be okay. I know you're Jose's trying to get back on. Jose, just stay on your phone. Stay on your laptop there. Hold on, let me try this real quickly. Let's try this. Okay, Jose, can you hear me now, buddy?
Hello?
Yep, can you hear us?
Not really. Something's I think I can't really hear you.
Okay.
Do that again. Hello?
Okay. Yep.
There we go.
You. Okay, you're back.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell happened there, but it was something with the headphones. I'm on my LTE, so I know it's not my Wi-Fi before Josh starts talking shit.
Kills you on it. So we were just talking about March to April was just a cluster of we don't know what's happening, how serious this is. Yeah.
We both lost jobs in March.
Yep.
With the XFL getting shut down.
Yep. That one's rough. But it was at that point we just thought the league was ending or the season was ending. We didn't think we'd be losing careers. That was interesting. And then a month later, it was announced that the season is it's not only the season is over, but the league is officially gone with the Roughnecks, and that sucked. So I was like, hey, that's not good. And then April, I had my birthday. I remember that. it was a lot of spending time outside and just wondering like what the hell is happening. Are we ever going to be normal again? Are we going to be
Yeah.
okay next month? Is next week, are we going to be okay? Are they going to tell us we're fine? We've flattened the curve. Everything's fine. Then the jobs start hitting, like people are losing their jobs. Restaurants are shutting down. Businesses were being shut down. April was a disaster.
It was.
And then May came, and oh boy, May was like, hey, you thought April was bad. Wait until you get to May, buddy, because you're going to get fired. And that happened in May. So May 6th, that happened. And then we had George Floyd. Then we had the protests. Man, it was a bonkers stretch, man. And June and July, this is where it gets a little harder for me. I don't remember much of June, July.
When did the NBA season restart? Was that in August?
I want to say late July, wasn't it? Late July to August. Right? Because the playoffs ended in October.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was in late August actually.
August, September, October. Yeah, so August, September, October. It was a 3 month, roughly 3 months of the bubble.
There was that stretch where obviously baseball started in the late summer where we didn't know if baseball was going to play because they were fighting over money.
Yep.
And we were just kind of waiting for basketball to start for the NBA to
Stimulus,
figure out.
the stimulus check hit before April. So the stimulus check hit, I believe, mid-April.
I think wasn't it around tax season? Yeah,
Yeah,
that
it
sounds
was.
right.
Yeah, and then tax season got pushed back. I was hoping it would just get canceled. That would have been the right thing to do. They should just cancel taxes for next year. If we're being honest, that's like a. If they did that, they're like, hey, do you want a stimulus check or cancel taxes for next year? I'll take canceled taxes. Give me that break because I need that more than anything. So June and July was, to me, it was a blur because I was stressing out. I have no job and I'm trying to figure out like what the hell's going to happen. And I then drove to Atlanta. I remember that. I did that. So I did the drive on
For free.
July 1st. I did that. So that was cool. That was something memorable for me. But other than that, it was just a lot of, it was a lot of the same from June to July.
Yeah, June, July. I can't really remember anything off the top of my head.
We've got some other stuff coming in. Let me go ahead and drop some of these in here. And these are going to be out of order a little bit, so that's fine. Keith says the stock market was booming while unemployment was at its highest. Yeah, that's a good one. Remember the stock market it went down when the pandemic started, and then all of a sudden it just went right back up, and people were like, "Oh, this is great. What recession?" You're like, "Damn, this is two different worlds right here." And let me see some other stuff. Juan says he's gonna remember Urban Meyer rejecting Texas as a story of the year. God, I don't think that's the story of the year. Urban Meyer rejecting that. So no, that's not gonna be it. Rejecting us. Anything else from the summer? Of course, the sports stuff, the restarts happened, and all of that. But I don't think there was anything else in the summer that we're missing.
I don't think so. I can't remember anything. No, I can't. I really can't. Not from
Josh
the summer.
said the president telling people to inject bleach. Yeah, that was a good one. Again, all of that is a cluster to me. Like that whole stretch of events and on how COVID-19 was handled, it's all a cluster.
I know. I mean, yeah, I can't think anything that happened in the summer aside from baseball starting.
Do we have any movies come out? Anything that you remember?
When did Tenet come out? That wasn't in the summer, was it?
No, Tenet was, I went in September. I believe right before school started. Or no, then that must have been August. August. So yeah,
so late summer, early fall, yeah.
Summer, June, July was just literally, I woke up every day stressing out. That's all I remember. I mean, we did the podcast. I remember that. Other than that, it was just like the same thing every single day. That was it. August, September, October, and now we're in November. Other big stories. We don't have to keep it all in line. The Kanye Joe Rogan Experience podcast where he talked about his platform for Yay 2020. And I was like, there were some good points in there. There was some good stuff in there. And for the most part, you're like, I don't think you thought this through, Kanye. I don't think you really did. Okay, memorable.
That's a memorable day because that's the day your Kanye fandom completely died. I feel like.
Yeah, that's what I was like. Okay, it's done. I'm kind of over this now. Okay, memorable passings from the year. We obviously mentioned Kobe. That was a huge one. Any other memorable passings that come to mind for you?
Bill Withers. That was in the summer, I think. No, that was in April. That's the one that I immediately thought of.
Okay.
I'm sure. I mean,
Chadwick Boseman.
I know there's a lot more. Obviously, that's one. Yeah. That one stunned all of us. None of us knew he was sick.
Yeah, Justice Ginsburg. That was a huge one. I'm trying to think of like secondary passings that I can remember.
Oh, Josh pointed out a good one to go back for a second. The birth and the death of Quibi.
Yeah, Quibi. Dang. Quibi was
that raised so much money.
And then burned it all in like a week on programming that nobody cared about. What was it like? It's 15-second programming. What was their big thing? No, it was like 2 minutes.
It was no, I think it was 15 minutes, and their whole gimmick was it was phone only. You can only stream via the phone.
Okay, huh?
That was
I know. Nabil Kareem, who works at ESPN, a friend of mine, he was doing the Quibi Sports Center for ESPN, and I was pumped for him. I was like, "This is awesome! This is so cool, man! Like he's doing this." And then when it came down to it, like to sign up for a 7-day trial, I was like, I don't know if I want to sign up. I was like, I'm good. Like, look, man, I support you, but I don't want to I don't know what Quibi is. I don't know if this is another TikTok where my data is gonna get stolen or something.
They did have some interesting stuff though. Like they had the Clippers thing on the Donald Sterling saga. There was a doc series on that. They had a Reno 911 reboot, but honestly, like I'm with you. Once I found out it was phone only, I don't like streaming stuff on my phone. I hate it, actually. Once I found that out, I lost completely all interest.
Okay, let's do this. People can comment as we continue the show. What are some memorable things without using Google that you will remember of 2020? And we'll get to them throughout the rest of the show. But I want to get into our awards for the following categories. Okay, we got 6 awards I want to give out: Movie of the Year, Album of the Year, Song of the Year, TV Show of the Year, Sports Moment of the Year, and then Listener of the Year. Okay?
All
right, so let's start with an easy one. I'm going to go with TV Show of the Year because I already said mine from last week. What is your TV show of the year, Jose?
What was yours?
Mine was How To with John Wilson.
Oh, yeah, okay. Of course. You love that show. You love that 4th episode so much.
I love it, man. I think it was just so brilliant. It was so unique. I don't know. I couldn't think of a show that I liked more from the year. And I had some I'm getting my list out. I made a list.
We had some damn good TV come out this year.
Yeah.
So so my top. Do you want me to give you just one, or do you want to give me? I have 3.
No.
I wrote
give me a few. Yeah. Give me some.
So my top 3 TV shows were The Boys, season 2, Ted Lasso, season 1.
Oh, that's a good
and
one.
Ozark, season 3.
Ted Lasso.
And I feel like I should take. Because the way I consumed Ozark was different than everyone else's, because I literally just binged all 3 seasons at the beginning of the pandemic.
Yeah.
So I was completely on with the show, and I think the 3rd season that came out was it late February, like right before the pandemic? I feel like the 3rd season came out, so I was like a month late on it. and just that show is so damn brilliant. So I think Ozark's my one, and I'm saying all of this and realizing I can't believe I left off the latest season of Better Call Saul because that was so damn good.
Yeah, Better Call Saul this year. I totally forgot about that. That feels like it was a year ago.
Josh mentions Tiger King. We forgot to talk about for our timeline, but that's not on my list. So I think my show, I'm going to go with Ozark for my
Okay,
favorite show
Ozark,
this year.
season 3 show of the year. We watched Killer Mike's show. I forgot, what was it? Made in America? No, Made in America was a Borat show, wasn't it? What was Killer Mike's show?
God, what was it?
I'm
Heat Check? No, it wasn't Heat Check.
I'm looking it up.
It was a phrase. It was a common phrase. Well, not a
trigger warning.
Trigger warning. That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. Trigger warning. Show. Yeah, that was a good show too, but not show of the year. I had The Crown on my list as well because the last season of The Crown came out, and that was really good. It introduced a very important character that people know about. I don't want to ruin it because I know people are kind of watching The Crown, and this character gets introduced, and it was a character that everyone's been waiting for. So I'm going to put that up there. The Crown was really good, but to me it was How To with John Wilson was my show of the year. Okay.
Wow, a late one, a late entry.
A late entry, okay. Man. It stole it. Came in the fourth quarter and stole the game. So I like it. It was. I love the way it was done. Okay, let's do album of the year. Musical album of the year, which in my opinion is the hardest category for this year.
It is because I don't feel like there was one like. At least there was definitely monumental albums that came out this year, but not of like the niche sort of music that we listen to. Like the Taylor Swift album is massive, but that's not like what we listen to, and I feel like the core of our audience listens to. And I have listened to it is good. I'm not trying to bash it, but I feel like there wasn't that big like holy bleep like Kendrick Lamar or Drake just dropped a massive album. There wasn't that album this year. So that's fascinating. I think I'm trying not to have a recency bias with the Avalanche's album, but I think Run the Jewels 4 is in my top 3 and has to be in my top 3. It's not my one, but because of the timing of when it came out, the features on that album are really good. The messages on that album are just really powerful, as they always are with Killer Mike. So I think that's my 3. I think my 2 has to be the Avalanche's new album, We'll Always Love You. Again, I'm trying not to have a recency bias because that's so hard. I think it's the most difficult with music. But that album makes me so happy. And my number 1 is J Balvin's Colores. So this year I kind of slowly have gotten into more Spanish music, which for those who've listened to the podcast for a long time, no, I'm not that much into it, but I've gotten into it a lot through one of my best friends, and I just love that album. Rojo's probably, not to spoil my song of the year, but probably up there for my favorite song of the year. So that's my favorite album, just because I don't want to have the recency bias of giving it to the Avalanches.
Yeah, no, that's fair. It's fair. I have None as my album of the year.
Oh, you mother.
Like, I literally went through my entire musical listening history for the year, and there wasn't a single album that I listened to more than twice. So we had, and this includes some of my favorites, right? Sufjan Stevens dropped a new album. I haven't gone back and listened to it after the first listen. Childish Gambino dropped a new album.
Totally forgot about that.
Totally forgot about it because the way the tracks were named was ridiculous. Like, I know it's creative and it's interesting for him, but it makes it really hard to share a song when you don't know what it's called outside of numbers.
It was the timestamps of when that song started at that point of the album.
Yeah. And it was brutal. Like, I can't be like, oh, dude, you gotta listen to 13.79. Like, no, just put a name on it. Just come on, put a name on it. Although one of my favorite songs of the year was on that album, Algorithm. It's a really good song. I've listened to that song a bunch.
Algorithm wasn't on the album.
It wasn't? I thought it was.
No.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure it wasn't.
I think it was, but so he released it as a single, and then on the album it was with the numbers.
No, that was I Feel Like Summer. Was Algorithm on that album?
Yeah, dude, I listened to it it made my list. It made my workout list, and I'm pretty sure it's on there.
Okay.
Let me confirm with you. I'm pulling it up right now. His latest album. By the way, it's 3/15/20 was the album name. I think I forgot to say that. And I'm pulling it up. See, I got a bunch of numbers on here, and this is so frustrating.
Yeah, so it's interesting because like I'm kind of, I get what you're saying, because my top listen to music this year was like old Paul McCartney songs, which is kind of sad because I was sad. I was in a headspace then where I just listened to that obsessively. So I get what you're saying, but I think there was enough, as the music I mentioned, there was enough music to come out this year for you to say we had a pretty solid year.
It was it was track 2 on 3/15/20, and this one was named. He actually named it Algorithm on the as a track listing too. So and the reason that album could have won album of the year if he had included the one song I want him to drop so badly, and I heard it at the concert when we went. What was it called? Human Sacrifice.
Yeah.
That song,
Yeah,
man, it was incredible. That's the best songs I've heard him produce, rap on, and it was used in a Google Pixel commercial, but he never released a full track. So that if that was on there, that would win album of the year, but it didn't win album of the year. To me, I really Sufjan Stevens' Ascension was a good album, but again, I haven't listened to it since the first listen.
Surfer
By the way,
Stevens dropped a new album?
Sufjan Stevens, don't disrespect him. I did get Illinois, the vinyl. My wife got that for me for Christmas. That's one of his best albums. Man, just bangers all over on that album.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. Okay, so album of the year is done. Let's just stick in the category song of the year. This one's going to be hard because I feel like this year you and I became more of singles. Like, what song are we listening to over and over again?
Yeah, kind of.
Right? Like you mentioned it, right? We went back and listened to a lot of different songs, but not albums. I'm going to start this one off, and I'm going to throw some out there, okay? For me, at least. The song of the year, the two that really stuck out to me, and this one actually was my number one played song of the year. It was Travis Scott's The Plan off of the motion picture soundtrack for Tenet. That was my number one song of the year. Another one that when it first came out, and I still love it right now, Lady Gaga's Rain on Me. I love that song. It still bangs for me. It's such a good song until Ariana Grande speaks or sings, and then I'm like, oh, turn it off.
Whoa.
But then she's horrible.
Why's she catching the heat?
She's not.
What'd she do to you?
Old nasally Ariana Grande. I'm good. I'm good. So those are my two songs that, based on plays in the top 5, that one was huge for me. WAP did not make my top 5, unfortunately.
Oh,
Yeah, I didn't. What are some of your songs of the year?
So I did the end of the year stuff with Apple, and my top streamed songs were all like really old Beatles songs, or it was always the first songs of an album. So for Band on the Run, which is one of Paul McCartney's Wings album, that was like my top listened to song of the year, which I thought was funny and an indictment of the conversation we're just having. We just listened to a bunch of old music. But for me, it was, as I mentioned, J Balvin's Rojo. That song is that song's perfect. That song is so good. And the music video for it is really awesome. He essentially dies and turns into a ghost that prevents his wife from dating. And it's really funny and quirky. And it's just a really good music video. And then this one's a recent one. Running Red Lights from the Avalanches with our boys Rivers from Weezer. I love that song so much. The chorus is so catchy. The bridge is a little haunty, like feels out of place, but when you listen to it in the context of the album, it makes sense. Those are my first two. My first two initially, just my favorite songs without a doubt this year.
Nice. I'm gonna
I
go
don't
ahead
know if you want a third.
Yeah, give me a third if you have it. I'll pull
Not
up.
off the top of
Yeah.
my head. I'd have to think about that.
So I'll pull up my list, and again, I share my account with my wife and my daughter. So like the top songs that we played are a little different, and they're kind of out of whack because you do have kids music in there. But here are the top songs in order. Ooh, this is a good one. I forgot. Actually, okay, number one was The Plan. I love that song. I start every workout with that song. That made me a fan of Travis Scott more than any other of his songs, even more than anything on Astroworld. To me, that song. And then again, I told you this when the movie came out. There's a scene in the movie where Ludwig uses that sample, or actually Travis uses the sample from that scene, and that's what makes
That's
a
cool.
song like 100 times cooler. So that to me is a nominee. Levitating by Dua Lipa came out. We got a hold of it a month ago. It's our number 2 stream song on
Oh
YouTube
my!
Music. Yeah, my daughter loves it. She loves that song.
I don't
Like,
think I've heard it.
come on. I'm gonna
I
put
don't
it
think
on,
I've
but
heard
then
it.
we're gonna get canceled on YouTube. You gotta listen to it afterwards. The baby's on it.
You
Yeah,
want me to listen to it?
and there's one with him on it, and then there's one without him on it. I like the one without him on it because he adds nothing to the song. He's a
the
lot like
the
Ariana Grande.
the Juice WRLD song "Come and Go" that's produced by Marshmello. I think it's Marshmello. It's one of those EDM producers. ESPN uses it all the time for their
Yes.
promos for college football games. That one's up there too, and I use that song at work all the time. I love that song.
So NBA on
R.I.P.
TNT used "Levitating" to start the season. That was a song they used, and
Okay.
everyone uses it. Number 3, "Ego Death" by Ty Dolla $ign. That's a really good song.
Man, I haven't
That's
heard
a
that song
damn good song.
in a while. Yeah.
Man, that might win. That might win number 3. Number 3 might win for me because that song is banging as well. And then some other ones I have on here from the year. Laugh Now, Cry Later is up there. Girl Like Me by Shakira. That's not, or by Black Eyed Peas. And then the Roses remix with by St. John. That's a good song too. I like the remix.
Josh says the Jack Harlow song. Josh looks like a Jack Harlow guy.
Life is Good until the future part for him is his song of the year, by the way.
I have not heard that song.
I haven't heard that song. I probably have
Everyone
heard it, but I
loves
don't remember it. Let me
everyone
see.
loves that song. I don't think I've heard it.
I'm gonna play it real quick off air because I want to know if I've heard it or not. Hold on, hang tight.
Oh boy. Are you gonna mute your mic so I don't hear it?
I have heard this song. I already recognized the first beat. Yeah, I've heard this song.
I don't think I have.
But Josh also participates in COVID-19 stuff, like going to an opening of a restaurant and getting people in trouble. So, which by the way, Deshaun Watson, kind of brilliant. He did that because that man got so much marketing for free with the mention of lefties cheesesteak and COVID-19 protocol violation. It blew up last week. It was literally everywhere I turned on. And Deshaun Watson at the opening of his new restaurant, Lefty's Cheesesteak. I was like, damn, that's brilliant. And it probably cost him nothing.
Do you think, as the leader that he is, or the leader we all hope he is, he paid for everyone's fine?
He did. He said he did.
Oh, he did? I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
he said he
That's
did.
awesome.
He said he paid for it. That's an expensive cheesesteak, my friend.
Yeah.
He paid for everyone's fine. I believe the fine was only like, some people got a $5,000 fine and some people got a little bit more. Like Deshaun got the most, I think. But it wasn't that
Yeah, he
much
did.
for them. For them, it wasn't that much. For a normal person, a $5,000 fine would like ruin your budget for the year. So, yeah,
Right.
good on him. You know what? He took care of everyone's fine. Write that off as an expense for marketing. You're good to go. Okay, so we did song of the year. We've done TV show of the year. We did album of the year. So we have 3 categories left. Let's go to sports moment of the year. And there's a
This
lot
one was
to pick
actually
from. Yeah.
This one was the easiest for me.
Oh, really?
The day the NBA bubble started, because that was obviously in the wake of all the protests for the murder of George Floyd, and I thought the way because it was those either Tuesday or Thursday broadcast, so it was on Turner. The way they and I'm not talking about the preseason like bubble games we got when the actual season restarted and they were on Turner. That was awesome. Like that moved me. Like I got emotional watching the packages they were doing before when it was like, oh, here's Devin Booker at a protest. Here's Jason Tatum back home. He also went to a protest. Here's what he said. Like they packaged those so beautifully. That was my favorite sports moment. That's my number one without a doubt. The Carlos Correa walk-off in the ALCS.
Yeah.
I don't remember if that was game 5 or game 6. That's my number 2.
Let me pause you there. Wasn't the restart broadcast, was that Big Sean in the Prada jacket? That was
Meek Mill. It was Meek Mill.
It was Meek Mill. That's right, Meek Mill.
Yeah.
That one was really cool to see. Okay, unpause. Sorry.
Yeah, my number 2 would be the Correa walk-off. And God, I mean, I'm trying not to pick another one. I'm trying to think of an NBA controversy, because those always like cause the biggest uproars. I don't know if I have a third one that comes to my mind immediately.
That's fine.
So if you want to hit me with some of yours.
I've got some nominees here. The college football, I mean, just the mess of a season the college football has been and what it was so far. I think that in its entirety was a moment of the year, like how badly they botched it.
Yeah.
We had MLB. To me, my moment is in Major League Baseball. I'll talk about that in a second. Some other stuff to throw out there. In the NBA bubble, you had Luka's walk-off 3. You had the game-winning 3 against the Clippers. You had the Nuggets. I thought that was a really good story. Miami, it was one of the best stories of the entire bubble, if not the story of the bubble, how they went to the finals, eventually ran out of gas, all of that. I'm trying to think, NFL-wise, it's been Bill O'Brien getting fired was a big moment for us here locally.
Yeah.
To me, the NFL has been, I know it's intriguing. I know people are into it, and I know next week is going to be kind of cool because there's so many divisions still up for grabs, right? The NFC East, AFC South is still up for grabs, all of that. It has been one of the least intriguing years I can remember because the Texans haven't been good. You know, and that's taken out some of the interest for me. So I'm going to give you mine real quickly. And this is in its entirety, the Astros playoff run to me was the sports moment of the year because they got hot. They got this new attitude about them. They turned it on. They came back down against the Rays, forced a Game 7, and didn't get to the World Series. But, man, that was so much fun. That run was up there with 2017 on how much fun it was.
Definitely.
I'll put that as my moment of the year.
And watching Correa become like the vocal leader of that team, the one to get in front of the cameras during the controversy, the heyday of the controversy, too. That went from like freaking spring training in March where he was cussing on in front of cameras with Ken Rosenthal to the freaking ALCS in October. Like that was a long run, man.
Damn, that was so good. Nate getting KO'd was a moment of the year. Angel says that's pretty good.
That was definitely a Twitter moment, a social media moment.
Yeah, that was so good. I can't think of another one in terms of like.
I think the DeAndre Hopkins one should be up there.
Where he caught DeAndre Hopkins
trade.
Okay, just the trade. And then he went from being traded to turning into an Instagram model. And just charging you $50 for a T-shirt.
You're so mad.
It's getting old. And he did it again. By the way,
no, it's not.
He's still complaining. The guy is gone. Bill O'Brien's gone. Bill O'Brien's gone. What are you complaining about? I wish you could be here, DeAndre. I wish you could be here.
Gone.
What do you want, Jack Easterby? Jack Easterby is behind the scenes. I'm sorry.
Did you read that story on SI?
Yeah, I did. And let me ask you a question about that.
Jack Easterby.
Let me ask you a
Okay.
question about that. You read the whole story. You've been around sports
Yeah.
radio. You guys have talked about it for hours on end, right? Here's something I can't figure out. And I asked this to
Not
Lance.
as much as I thought.
Real, it was national,
Okay.
right? Like
Sorry.
on
Go
the
ahead.
national side, I don't know how much there is in terms of intrigue, right? But you listening to everything, getting people's opinions. I asked this to John, Lance, and Dell in our group chat. And I'm legit confused about the following. Is Jack Easterby a bad guy? Or is he somebody that has learned to finesse the game and is now catching it from people that are jealous?
I don't think he's a bad guy, but he's a guy with that knows how to finesse the game.
Mm-hmm.
The McNair family is obviously very impressionable and very easily swayed. We've learned that from several examples now. So I don't think he has terrible, like, I don't think he just intends on just fucking everything up. I think he just intends on taking care of Jack.
Yeah.
So I think you could quantify that as him being a selfish person. You can quantify that as him being a bad person if you want. But I don't think that's like, I don't think his plan is, all right, how do I mess this up?
So
How do I get under this guy's skin?
So my next
I just think
point to
Jack
all
is
of
looking
that,
out for Jack.
my next point to all of that is, how many people do we know in our lives that do the following things that Jack has done, where it's all about Jack? Make sure that you get in, and you make sure that if you know how to stay in, then you figure that out, right? And I've seen it working in many businesses where somebody gets in, gets the attention of somebody, and stays at that position because they know how to finesse the game. And most of the time, the jealous and the anger comes from people that didn't do it and didn't figure that out, that didn't play the game, unfortunately. Now, it also comes from people that were let go, people that were traded, right? Like, there is that as well. I understand that side of it. And yes, that could mean that Jack Easterby is a bad guy. And I'm not saying he's not. I'm literally asking this question because
you're over here playing brother's keeper for Jack Easterby for some reason.
I'm trying to figure it out. And I've read that Sports Illustrated story twice.
Yeah.
And there's nothing in there specifically where I'm like, I don't think he's a bad guy. I think he's just a dude he's a guy that does what literally every business has. That one guy that figures out how to finesse the game, get in tight with the owner, climb the ladder that way, and just burn bridges on the way out. Or, excuse me, on the way up, and then he's forced out eventually. Because then the owner or somebody figures out, like, hey, what's happening over here? And sometimes it's, 13 years too late. Sometimes it's a year too late. Who knows? But that's what's happening with Jack Easterby, in my opinion.
I don't know, man, because there are some really shady things within that story of stuff that he's done, like getting players trailed by unmarked cars. The racist stuff he kind of said about the kids you grew up playing with. Those are kind of indefensible things.
So the marked car things, we never found out if it was him or not. We just said that we think it was Jack Easterby doing that. Again, that could be somebody upset.
I have heard off the record that it
was
happened.
him. Yeah, I've heard, and I know what you're talking about. To me, that's not as like, is he a bad guy? I don't know. Like, does that make him a bad guy? The racist stuff, that's a great thing that you brought up, right? Like, him bringing up stereotypical racial names when talking about players that are African American. And yes, that's horrific. Like, don't do that, right? And then I think, when I listen to sports radio, when I listen to people talking normal, it's like it's 10 times worse. So then again, and this is, I guess, a sports radio thing for me, where I'm listening to people just say he's a bad guy, and I'm like, but you just said 2 minutes ago something way worse than what Jack Easterby just said. And again, it's not excusing him, but I'm just saying, does that make that person a bad guy then, right? So I don't want to get off on Jack Easterby tangent. I'm sorry, I took up like 8 minutes of that, but I just wanted to ask you that question because I haven't had a chance to.
No, you're right. We didn't really talk about it.
Sports moment of the year, Astros for me. For you, officially, the NBA bubble restart.
The NBA bubble restart day, yeah.
Okay, so let's do our movie of the year. I think that's one of our hardest categories to figure out. Here are some nominees I'll throw out there. We had The Five Bloods that came out this year. Chadwick Boseman's in it. Onward.
Oh, you know what, dude?
Yeah.
Now that you just said that, it clicked on me. He looked really skinny in that movie.
He did. He did.
I
But
haven't
yeah,
haven't really. Maybe that's intentional because of, or maybe that's what they wanted it to look like because of who the character was. But now that I had since he had died, I had not thought of that until you just brought it up. That he looked really skinny in the Five Bloods.
and not only that. Remember, that's when after he passed away, Chadwick Boseman. It was like, wait, he filmed in Vietnam. They went on location and filmed that movie. They were carrying the packs around like he was going through method acting, going through everything he was going through fighting cancer. He did that role.
Yeah,
That was incredible. Borat 2,
Borat too. Yeah,
Borat 2 is up there. Tenet is up there. Those are some of the movies that I remember from the year. What about you?
yeah. You actually mentioned two of my top three. My other one, my undoubtedly number one, is Disney Pixar's Onward with Chris Pratt and God, what is Spider-Man's name?
Spider Man.
His
Just call him
name's
Spider
Tom
Man.
Holland. Tom Holland, and I mean, we spent a whole podcast in March talking about why that movie was so good and what it meant to me. So yeah, that to me is without a doubt my movie of the year, Onward. And then I think because of the timing of when it came out and just frankly how hilarious it is, Borat 2 is my 2, and then I
Yep.
would put the Five Bloods at 3.
I have I still need to rewatch it, but I'm still thinking about this movie. Tenet is number one for me.
Of course it is.
Yeah, it was as confusing as it was. As I mean, just there's the audio in there is not good at times. You can't hear anything that they're saying. It's still the movie of the year. And there's a lot of other movies out there that we didn't watch that probably deserve this award, but for our uncultured asses, those are our picks, right? Okay,
Yeah.
our last one, because I do want to wrap this up. We're getting close, over an hour here. Our new award, Listener of the Year. So, who is our Listener of the Year? Do you have some nominees you want to throw out there?
We gotta nominate the OG Josh. We just have to, out of respect to him,
Yeah,
for always holding it down in the chat, for always keeping us
but
informed on stuff.
this isn't Chat of the Year. This is Listener of the
Okay,
Year.
fair enough. I think honestly, my listener of the year has had it wrapped up for a couple months now. It's got to be our boy Sammy.
I knew you were gonna say Sammy. I
It
knew
has
it, and
to be
he did.
Sammy.
It has to be Sammy, right? I have another one. I'm gonna nominate Nabil. Nabil is awesome.
But
He
Nabil fell off in the fourth quarter. Where's he been? Nabil hasn't
okay
been in the chat for a minute.
because he's been running his own podcast. That's why. Not your weekly podcast. I believe that's what it's called. Yeah. So he's been doing his own podcast, and he's busy with that. And he does listen because he'll message me afterwards, like on the next day when he listens. So I'm gonna I'm just throwing some nominees out there. I think it
That's
is.
fair.
It's been wrapped for a while. It's definitely Sammy.
We got to nominate our guy, all texting, no tweeting. Or is it all tweeting,
Yeah.
no texting? I'm sorry, I got your name backwards. But he, without fail, will always tweet us the day after.
Yeah, he's awesome
Then-
with the Oilers icon, right?
Yeah. So those are some of our nominations. I just Josh says we got to recount the votes, but I'm sorry, buddy. Sammy just blew all of you guys out of the water.
Sammy,
My man took
yeah.
a 5-minute conversation we had about our experiences with weight loss, and like quietly and humbly just went away and lost a bunch of weight. Like,
Dude, it's incredible. His weight loss journey has been so much fun to not only follow, but I follow him on Instagram. So do
Yeah, me
you
too.
on his personal account. Well, he only has a personal account. I forget that not everyone has a burner account like I do.
he might have a Finsta. You don't know that.
Yeah, we don't know. He might have that, but I mean, like I go back and look at his pictures from the beginning of the year and to what he looks like now, and it's incredible.
He
Man.
looks great.
And
Yeah.
it's awesome. I'm so happy for him to do that. And again, you're right. It was just from a 5-minute conversation of just go get started. And this was me trying to motivate you. You didn't get motivated. You didn't do it, but at least Sammy did it. So Sammy not only gets Listener of the Year, he gets Co-Host of the Year because he
Oh,
took the advice that I was giving you. He took it to heart, and he went into quarantine and came out
He
a
said,
better
"Bet."
man. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's like, all right, watch this. I got time on my hands. watch this. So I'm gonna go. Sammy, for sure, is our listener of the year. And Sammy, congratulations on what you've accomplished. That's awesome, and thank you again for always supporting the show. He's like first in line for everything.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about one. Yeah, sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Speaking of Sammy, Sammy actually was one of the few people that did buy a gift. I don't know if you saw this on Twitter the other day. So, Jackie and Amber, one of my good friends. So Amber tweeted about her cousin, who's just gone through a lot in life. Okay, and fast forward, she's 25, and her husband and her are now expecting. They planned a drive-through baby shower for yesterday, which was the 27th. And Amber on Friday, I believe it was Friday. Yeah, no, Thursday. She tweeted about the whole thing, and Jackie, her husband, posted the link to the Amazon registry for that drive-through baby shower where nobody had bought a gift. Nobody had bought a gift.
Man.
And the baby shower was like 2 days, right? And I started sharing it. Chance, Seth Payne got into this. And a bunch of people on the internet just like took over it, and this like little local group, we not only fulfilled the entire registry, but we bought extra gifts. So there's 106 gifts out of 96, and I think there's like over $800 in gift cards coming her way. So it was just one of those.
When did you guys do that?
It was on Thursday. It was on Thursday.
I didn't see that at all. So I was off all last week, and I was for the most part like not on my phone, and it wasn't because I was making like the decision, like the conscious decision of let me not be on my phone. It was because I was literally just playing video games all week.
Nice.
Or running errands.
That's good right there.
But so that's really sweet. That's really awesome. I'm sorry I missed that.
No. And Sammy was one of the listeners that bought a gift, and there's so many others. So I want to thank everyone who did that. It's a really cool moment. It just solidified like the holiday spirit more than anything. Like, okay,
absolutely,
this is what it's about, man. At least one person is. She'll never forget this. There's no way. And it was funny. So her grandfather raised her. Okay, so she calls her grandfather her dad. And Amber shared a text message with me, a screenshot, and she basically said, I have to call my dad right now and let him know that he's about to get 100 packages at his front door. And like, don't be shocked that something like this is happening. So just kudos to
That's
everyone,
awesome, man.
Yeah, that was just like, that made my heart. Yeah, that made my heart happy. So that's my little story about Sammy. Sammy was first in line. He's like, oh, already did it. Here you go, man. He's always great. So Sammy, listener of the year. Jose, we're out of time. It's been it's been an hour and 8 minutes. We have time.
It always flies by, man.
I know it really does. And today's episode was really fast because we had a lot to talk about, a lot to recap. It's been a wild year. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule. You don't get paid much for this, if at all. So again, people go to alamoremedy.com and buy some CBD because Jose does get money from that. You've been awesome, man. It's been great talking every single week. It's been so much fun. It's kept a sense of normalcy for me, so I appreciate it. And thank you for everything, buddy.
Yeah, man. Of course. I mean, I'm flattered that you're here thanking me because the reason you started inviting, because you all were already doing the podcast. The reason you started inviting me is because I was kind of in a down spot where I was in the hierarchy, if you will, of the company we both used to work for, that I work for, and you were kind of like, man, just come on and do this with me, and we'll do it as often as we can. And it went from a bi-weekly to a weekly to an ever so often to us doing it on our laptops where all we could see was our frequency waves to now, I mean, not doing this with my janky ass internet where we see each other at least virtually face to face once a week. Yeah. I mean, the pleasure's been all mine, man.
Awesome, man. I appreciate it again. Thank you to all the listeners. You guys have helped me get through a lot in this year, and it's been a wild year, and hopefully we've helped you get through a little bit as well. So we hope to be continuing to do this in 2021, and we'll keep you posted. It's going to be a weekly thing as well. So just hang tight. We got some hopefully some good news coming about a lot of different things, and it will be all here on the Raheel Show Podcast. Jose, have a great end of the year. Have a great beginning of the year because I won't talk to you until next week, and the year will already be in the next year, buddy. We'll already be in the next year. So I'll talk to you next week, okay?
Sure thing, buddy. Stay spicy.